I feel like with the Blues, this team takes me in circles, and we need to talk about it.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, I'm going to talk about circles and why I feel like sometimes with the Blues, I am going in circles. The Flames are a test with these pair of games and who has the most value on the Blues. And I'm talking more towards trade deadline when it comes to value. So we do have a lot to get into on today's episode, but I want to let you know from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So today is January 14th, and today is the first game between the Blues and the Flames. They have a pair of games, as I said, but I want to focus on sometimes feeling like I'm going in circles with this team. And this is just my logic. And I feel like the past couple episodes, I've talked about the deadline, the draft, playoffs, expectations. And I feel like I need to kind of center it all back and truly give you my focused thoughts and explain what I am saying. Last season, the St. Louis Blues finished as the best worst team in the NHL, which is a bad thing. That is not a good thing. Despite that I said best, that's not good. When you get a draft pick, and especially this draft, 8 and above, not ideal, and it's not a good situation. You really want to be 8 and below in this coming draft if you want to get a really solid draft pick. And I guess you can make the argument that there's always going to be these prospects that, end up being really talented and playing well that are picked later in the draft. And I can do a whole draft preview episode. But just based on what I'm studying, it just seems like the top 8 guys are the most NHL potential bound, right? And that's usually how it goes in these drafts. There's been a couple of drafts that you can get some really good picks later on in the draft. Last year's draft class was a good one. A couple of years prior was good. Like 2017's was good. However, for the draft class this year, it's really within that top 8 to have immediate turnaround and potentially get them going, if not next season, the season prior. So that is basically that. The Blues getting Adam Juracek was a really good thing. A lot of the national media loved how he played in World Juniors, and which is a huge thing. He was one of the better defensemen, and if it wasn't for his injury, he would have gone top 10, and I am a firm believer in that because that's where he was projected to go, leading up to the draft, and then he got injured, and then that's where he kind of fell back a little bit. But that was a really strong pick. The reason why I bring that up about Adam Juracek is that it's going to be nearly impossible to get the same value type of player at 16 if that's where the Blues end up. I think for the Blues, and it's not, let's purposely lose games, and that's not what I'm saying, but this team has to realize at some point being the middle team doesn't have any benefits. You're always the team that's close enough to potentially be there, but then you're also the team that can't get out of the slump because they don't have the draft picks and, all that are good. I do want to talk about my conversation with Jake Neighbors back in October because I did say to Jake Neighbors, they just came out of that 8-0 loss to the Senators. It was really bad. And I said to Neighbors, I feel like this team is in a slump right now. And he was like, oh, we're not in a slump. The team was in a slump. And I feel like that's kind of the issue. And I'm not blaming anything on Jake Neighbors per se. I'm just putting that out there. There seems to be this maybe denial within the locker room. And I'm not accusing anybody, but that's just the vibes that I'm getting. And there's not as much accountability being taken on the ice. I think that the Blues have a lot of potential. And I've said that before. But this season, I expected to see more out of players like a Jake Neighbors, out of a Zachary Bolduc. I've expected more out of Sod. I've expected more out of some players that just haven't really stepped up and shown why they deserve to even be on the team. And I know that sounds harsh, but at some point, you're going to have to make trades. You're going to have to get rid of guys. You can't give everyone an extension. And that is why, circling back to my initial point with Scott Perunovich, is that giving him a 1-year extension didn't make any sense to me per se, because I kind of figured that they wouldn't really use him much this season, and they haven't. Tyler Tucker's obviously been in the lineup. So that to me is just a situation where I feel like the Blues kind of played themselves, and instead of giving maybe another young prospect that's maybe on the T-Birds right now an opportunity, you signed a guy that obviously, you're not going to use. And everyone was like, oh, well, he's like Torrey Krug on the power play. Well, no, he's not. I think a lot of people had these unrealistic expectations of the Blues' defense this season because of Philip Broberg. And to me, that's unacceptable. I know Philip Broberg, he's an RA defenseman, right? He's really good offensively. Like, that's what makes him a good two-way defenseman, right? But just the defense part, I'm not looking at the offense part. He's average. Okay. It is what it is. You have Colton Parayko, obviously, he's, our best guy on defense. But again, you relied on Ryan Suter for a lot of the season, and I'm happy that the Blues now have Cam Fowler, but the defense is an issue. The point is that this team doesn't scream to me a miracle team. This team doesn't scream to me they're going to turn things around and go on a huge winning streak. They haven't even this season gone on like that big of a win streak. So again, you lose to a team like Columbus, and I know Columbus has been playing a lot better, and they've kind of been, the dark horse team of the NHL right now, really playing good hockey, and I'll give them credit where credit is due. However, the Blues barely won so far in January, and that to me is a concern. Yes, you beat the Ducks 6-2. It's also the Anaheim Ducks, right? And I'm not trying to diss any other team in the NHL. That's not the point of this segment. But it's just to tell you that while the Blues do find these wins and some points, it's not good. And I don't want the Blues to end up like Chicago. The Blackhawks are down bad, obviously. Bedard, I think he hit like 100 points like in his career or something like that. And he was asked about it, and he just did not care. He even said, I don't care because of how bad the Blackhawks are, and he's sick of losing. I don't want the Blues to be in a situation where they don't come out of whatever they're trying to do with improving the team, and then they're stuck with a star player if they end up ever, like maybe like a Robert Thomas who's miserable. I don't want that to be the situation on the Blues. The Blues are a really interesting team because, again, I compare the Blues to some other teams in the NHL, right? I do this all the time. Then I compare players, and they have the players and the talent. I just don't understand what's not working. Then I think of the common factor, the age. Yes, we have a lot of guys over the age of 30. And I'm actually going to Google this because I'm quite curious about average age on the St. Louis Blues. So the average age on the St. Louis Blues this season is 28 years old, which is old. Not old like in real life, but you have Braden Shen, who's 33, Parayko's 31, Sonny's 30, Bushi's 29, going to be 30. So yeah, it's not like good. And if I want to compare to the NHL teams, comparing average age NHL teams by age. All right. Average age. I wish this told you in like order. Okay, it does. Yeah, okay. So we're 14th in the NHL when it comes to age. The number one team, obviously, and I've said this before, is the Edmonton Oilers. Their average age is 30. But the interesting is I'm scrolling down and you have some other teams like Buffalo, average age is 25. Canadiens, 25. Anaheim, 26. Philadelphia, 26. Utah, 26. Columbus, 26. So you have a lot of teams that do have those younger players, which is, obviously a benefit for them, like the Florida Panthers, 27. But the reason why I bring up some of the teams that do have these older players, right? As I said, number one is Edmonton, then you have Pittsburgh, and then New Jersey. New Jersey actually used to be the youngest team in the league, and then they completely just switched the flip on that. But like Edmonton, you can justify it because Edmonton has these veteran players in the NHL. But then there's other teams like the Penguins where it's just kind of like, okay, Sid the Kid, you've been here for way too long. Then at 6 is the Capitals. Again, a lot of older players on that team. But I feel like where is the Golden Knights actually? Because I feel like Vegas is 17 with 28. Yeah. So again, a lot of the better teams do have a lower average age, which I'm not surprised about. I'm going to talk to you about how this set of games, this pair of games, is a test against the Flames. But guess what? I'm going to talk to my friends at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is so easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel has you covered, okay? So just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Also, Eagles this weekend are -5.5. So make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So yeah, obviously this test with the Blues and the Flames is big. The Blues need this win more than everything, and I think that right now it's very crucial for the Blues to navigate what they want to do in this season, right? I just told you my thoughts and feelings on my frustration about the Blues being like a middle-ish team. But I think that right now you have half of January left, essentially. It's January 14th. So you really need to just get the plan going, okay? So here's the thing. The fight to the wild card spot is officially on, okay? There's only 2 wild card spots available in the Western Conference, and the Flames and the Blues are kind of neck and neck to earn a spot, okay? Currently, the Flames sit in second, okay? The second wildcard spot with 49 points, with the Blues trailing 2 spots behind them with 44 points. Okay. Today will be the second meeting between the two teams this season. On their first meeting, the Blues won 4-3 in overtime. And they marked their 4th straight win over the Flames, right? However, after the Blues' awful loss against the Blue Jackets on Saturday, Coach Montgomery was really upset with the team's inconsistency, slow starts, and basically was saying that they need to mentally shift moving forward. You've got to really fear and respect this league or it'll humble you. We get humbled a lot. Coach Montgomery is so real for that. We get humbled a lot. I love that. It's a mental preparation thing that we've got to be able to just come to games, and this is the way that we start games and start the second and the way that we finish the second, right? Because they get off to these really slow starts and then they put in effort and then they get slow again. It's a pattern. However, the Blues, they're just trying to at least, I say this optimistically, get closer to that second wild card spot, right? So here's the thing. I do believe that the Flames have had some issues, and that kind of began even earlier this year with Connor Zary, who suffered a knee injury during the team's win over Anaheim, right? He'll be out indefinitely, which really sucks. Hate to see it, honestly. I hate injuries in sports, no matter what team. So that sucks. But anywho, the Flames in their last 10 are 6-3-1, which is pretty good. Currently sitting in fourth in the Central Division. But the Blues, here's the thing. Since December 23rd, they have scored 38 goals, which is the most in the NHL in that span. So really good for the Blues. However, Parayko ranks fourth in the NHL in block shots with 107. So good for him. Trouba leads with 126. It's so weird that he's on Anaheim now. It's still not like clicking for me. Zachary Bolduc did record his 10th assist of the season against the Blue Jackets and has a 3-game assist streak going. So he's tied actually for the longest point streak of his career, which is good for him, even though it's not a lot. But anywho, I do want to talk to you about some things that are happening in tonight's game. Coach said, "Hey, we're looking for a spark." And when he said let's get the place rocking and rolling before they took on the Ducks, the building lit up. So maybe he's thinking the same thing. He said Joseph is someone that we think can help out our penalty kill and hopefully create a little more offense. And Texier is the guy that's gone in and done a really good job. But both of them need to bring the consistency that we're looking for our team. So here's tonight's lineup. I know the game's already gone underway, but I just like to tell you that way that you know what's going on. First line centering, it's Robert Thomas to the left, Jakey Neighbors to the right, Bushi. Bushi also had like the funniest video on YouTube, by the way, of him at the Winter Classic, and I thought it was great. It was a classic Bushi. He was like interviewing the guys on the team, and he has a personality. I'll give him that. He has a really good personality. However, oh yeah, Dan Vladder, by the way, is in net for the Flames, and he's 6-8-5 this season in the 19 games. So just wanted I forgot to mention that. I like to mention now the goalie matchups between the two goalies. Okay. Anyways, off track. Let's get back on. Centering the second line is Captain Braden Shen to the left. It's Dylan Holloway to the right. It's Jordan Kyrou. Finally, on that third line, it is Sonny Sod on the left and then Texier on the right. Finally, that fourth line, it is Foxa, Alexi, and then Matthew Joseph on the right. Finally, defense, like usual. Cam Fowler, Colton Parayko, Philip Broberg, Justin Falk, Ryan Suter, Tyler Tucker, and then in the net, it is Jordan Binnington. So as I said, Flames are a test because the Blues usually do really well against them. And that's what's funny about the Blues. Like, they play better against teams that are somewhat better than them. Like, whenever the Blues play the Stars, like, have you ever noticed that it's like always their best hockey, but yet they struggle against San Jose? I will never understand at all why that is the way that it is. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. Like, I don't know what else there is to say. Like, it's just such an inconsistent team. And I think that does lead to some of the frustrations that we as fans do experience. But you know what doesn't make me frustrated? Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Well, that's definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has 5 million users and has saved a total of 5 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is a subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future, No more stressing out about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Who has the most value? So I know that we talk a lot about the trade. Oh, I'm watching the game right now. Colton Parayko with an early 1-0 lead. Woo! Speaking of someone that has value. Okay, Parayko. The Blues tweeted it out, but I guess my streaming is a little bit behind. Hold on. Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh, what a beauty from Golden Parayko. I need to tweet about that one. So that actually is a great segue, though, into this segment about who has the most value. Because Colton Parayko on defense obviously has the most value. Parayko. So that was a really good goal. But yeah, no, that actually was a great segue because I was going to actually mention him. So obviously the guys on the team, if we're going to break down by position, offense, it's Robert Thomas. Defense, it's Parayko. And then in net, it is Jordan Binnington. Then if you were to go with your second most valuable guys in each position, offense, Jordan Kyrou. Defense. This was a tough one because I had two players that I'm struggling with. Value-wise, I'm going to go with Broberg. And then in net, obviously, Hofer. The reason why I said Broberg over Suter, Fowler, Falk, obviously Tucker, is because those guys are older and I don't see the value. However, I know Parayko is in his 30s. The reason why Parayko does have the value is because he still can play like he's in his mid-20s. So I'll give him that. But anywho, when I'm thinking about the trade deadline, for whatever reason, I am so worried that Jordan Kyrou is going to be traded. And I know that maybe this isn't like in rumors at all. Maybe this is just me overthinking things. However, Jordan Kyrou has a lot of value. And I just feel like there might be a chance that maybe he wants to go for a more contending team. I don't know. And I think that's the problem. The thing is, he ranks 13th amongst centers, which I don't know. Like, I feel like it could happen. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, but I don't think, obviously, they're going to keep Holloway, Broberg. And I think Holloway has a lot of value too, but I just feel like Thomas and Kyrou have more value over him. I don't necessarily think and again, it's not a disrespect thing, but I don't think Bushi has the value. I don't think Shen has the value. I don't think, Bolduc, Texier, Sonny, Walker, Foxa, Alexi. I don't think any of them have the same value as the guys that I just said. I also have good news. So Otto Stenberg, he is actually now at the T-Birds. Speaking of good things happening, I can't get over that. Colton went over in the top corner. It was beautiful. So yeah, off to a good start. See, this episode helped manifest something good for the Blues, which this team needed. So I'm going to watch some Blues hockey and I will talk to you tomorrow about the game. And like always, let's go Blues.